Hey, Mr. Sevens. Let me know whenever you guys are good to go, because I don't want to keep people late, so I'll get started when we can get started. You ready? Cool. Thank you.
She's got all the ideas we got to do with.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started right away so we can get you all out of here and safely home tonight. My name is Adriana Klopp. I'm the Continuous Improvement Coordinator here in the district, and I also serve as the Director of the Insight Program. So thank you all for venturing out tonight. I appreciate it. I will stick around. We're going to do an overview of the whole program here tonight, including all of the different courses or strands, as we call them, within the Insight Program. I will stick around afterwards to answer any questions that might arise in the evening. So if you have any questions and you don't feel comfortable or don't want to ask them to the full group, I will be here afterwards. So tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about who the people are involved in Insight, what the program actually is, what the different courses are and what those experiences look like in each of the courses, and then what are some of the benefits or the pieces that maybe set the Insight program apart from some of the other opportunities that students have here at the high school. And then we're also going to wrap up with what are the next steps. So if this is something that you're interested in pursuing for next year, what are the important dates and deadlines that you need to have on your radar? So here is the team of Insight educators that are involved in this program. This program actually started about 10 years ago with just 3 individuals, and it's expanded pretty significantly since that time. So we now have 9 different strands in the program. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we've got a variety of different teachers that are involved in Insight, and these teachers also teach other courses here at the high school, so you students might be familiar with a lot of these names up here. There's also some other individuals that are really instrumental in the program that aren't classroom teachers. So for example, Miranda Kozlik is our Director of Communications and Marketing in the district, and she is involved in the Insight program. Heather Yeskis, who is an individual who's an incredible member of our IT team, she's involved in Insight, so her name is up here as well. So when we talk about what the Insight program is, has anybody here had a child or sibling go through the Insight program already? Okay, so for some of you, this might be a little bit repetitive, but it's really a different type of experience that focuses on helping students refine their post-secondary path while they're still in high school. This is not a course where students might expect to just kind of float through class. This is not an easy A kind of experience, but it's an opportunity for students that really want to do a deep dive into a potential career pathway to take advantage of the opportunities to really determine, is this a good fit or is this not a good fit? And so that's why each of our different courses or strands focuses on a different type of career pathway. So we'll talk a little bit about what each of those look like. But there's a huge piece of career immersion in each of these insight experiences. A lot of our students, I hope all of our students, are really familiar with our graduate profile, and as parents, you may be as well. We oftentimes refer to them as the 6 C's. And I usually say that our insight program is the 6 C's or our graduate profile on steroids, because the way in which our students are really focusing on those future ready skills through the program is intense. An example of that is the fact that all of our students in the Insight program are matched with a professional mentor, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in a couple of minutes. But there's lots of different opportunities for them to really examine and hone these particular skills. So each of the courses in the Insight program are different. They are different in terms of the amounts of credits. They're different in terms of what types of experiences students have, because they're all tailored to the specific career path that they are intended to really focus on. However, there are a couple of consistencies among all of the strands, and one of those is rigor. These classes, like I said, are not a walk in the park. They're challenging courses. These are not courses that students, it's not a talented and gifted program. Okay, there's no GPA requirement for students to be in the Insight program. The requirement is that students know how to work hard and that they're willing to take responsibility for their own learning. That's the part that sets the Insight program apart from a class that a student can sign up for outside of just going through the course selection process. These classes are challenging. However, you have instructors guiding you through the entire process. So I don't want that to deter a student from taking it if that's something that they're concerned about. Another part is that community immersion piece. There's tons of opportunities within the Insight program for our students to get involved in the community and engage with whether it's businesses or nonprofits or local merchants within and beyond these walls and beyond our district. The mentorship piece is another piece that's unique, and all of our students in the Insight program, again, we have a mentor. And then the other piece is that a lot of these programs really have either industry certifications attached to them. Sometimes they have post-secondary credits attached to them, or they are really instrumental in laying a foundation to earn an industry credential or some college credits. And we're going to get into the specifics of that when we go through each of the courses individually. But these are the 4 pillars of the Insight program that really set it apart from some of the other experiences that students can choose from. So we have our strands. This is one of the pictures from our website. So we do have PewaukeeInsight.com is available to you if you want to kind of go back and take a look and click on and kind of explore or refresh your memory on any of these different particular course experiences. But we're going to break down all of these and kind of do a deep dive into each one and what this experience looks like. So here are our 9 courses. We added our 9th course last year, and that was our Serving Others internship experience. So we're going to kind of go through all of these in alphabetical order and kind of, please, if you have any questions and you are interested and comfortable raising your hand and asking them, please do so. But again, I'll stay at the end if you have any questions. So our aviation course, I'm super passionate about this one. This is one of our newer courses. We're in our 3rd year of offering this right now. We were one of the first schools in the area to offer an aviation program, and I actually just got to spend my afternoon today meeting with a couple of other administrators from some local districts that know and have heard about our aviation district and have either launched theirs or are getting ready to launch their own aviation program. This is an absolutely incredible field with a ton of opportunities for students in a variety of different types of career fields related to aviation. This is a great opportunity for students who might be interested in becoming a pilot, whether it's as a professional and this is your career path, or just a hobby pilot down the road. This is a great class for your aerospace engineers, for students that are really passionate about physics, students who want to work in as a technician or an airplane mechanic. This class is a great fit for our students that are considering military pathways because this is an opportunity for them to really do a deep dive into aviation, which is infused in all of our military branches. So air traffic control, drone operators, all of these different types of careers will find a great home within this particular class. This class is a course that really focuses on a lot of the foundational information you need to know if you are working in the aviation field, and everything from the alphabet to how you communicate is different when you are in aviation. So this course is a great opportunity to really start to introduce yourself to that and really explore whether or not this is something that you're interested in doing. So students, we were gifted a couple of years ago by a very generous former parent in our district. He is a hobby pilot, and he had a wonderful, really, really nice flight simulator. And he donated that to us as part of us starting this program. So the students in this aviation course are actually trained by him. He still comes years later, and he trains all of our students on how to use that flight simulator. So they have an experience as well, which kind of makes us a little unique. All of our students in the aviation program will have opportunities to use that flight simulator both in class and also outside of class. Students in the aviation program, and only students in the aviation program, are able to kind of check out that room and use the flight simulator to get some experience on it if they have a free period or if they have some downtime during the day. So it's an incredible opportunity. There's also a lot of opportunities in aviation. Networking is absolutely critical, and this is a great opportunity to start to connect with some of the local aviators that we have in our area. We've developed a great partnership with the Waukesha County Airport and really have worked, we've joined the Youth in Aviation Task Force that they've started there. And so we've got involvement in that, and we've got some really great experiences that students can have. This particular course is open to students in grades 10 through 12. It's held here at the high school. And what we do expect is that when students are engaging with professionals, whether it's a mentor meeting or whether it's maybe a guest instructor or something like that, we do expect them to dress business casual on those days and really be professional, because that's one of the other pieces of the Insight program, is that you're really working on and focusing on employability skills and being a professional individual and interacting with adults that are professionals. This class is 1 credit, and it's split into 2 different semesters, but it's really a 1 course experience. So if you sign up for aviation, you get both of the courses are built in. And the first semester focuses really on an introduction to flight. And the second semester, you really kind of start to do a deep dive into aircraft systems and performance. There's a lot of hands-on learning in this class. There's a lot of lab work where you're learning about how the physics really work behind an aircraft. And this whole year course covers about half of the information that an individual would need in order to take the FAA written test, which is essentially like your test for flying. So it's a ton of information that you need to know. The manual is probably like 2 inches thick, but taking this course will get you what you need for like half of that, if that explains it. So any questions that we might have on aviation at this point? Okay, I'm going to move on to our next one. Our next one is Elements of Health and Medicine, and there are definitely some changes to this for next year compared to what it is right now. So if you're interested, please take note. This class is really designed for our students that are interested in healthcare careers, particularly those that are patient forward. Now, this doesn't mean that if you're interested in becoming like a lab tech or something like that, that this is still a great fit for you. But a lot of the experiences in this class are really about that patient forward side of healthcare. And so that could be everything from becoming a CNA to becoming, going into nursing to healthcare, radiology, surgeons, all of the things in healthcare. And it's such an incredibly broad field. We have students that are interested in a variety of different careers that take this particular course. This course, you start off the year actually by attending WCTC, and you go through their Certified Nursing Assistant program. And then you can, when that's completed, you can go and you can take the test, and if you pass, then you are a CNA. Now, this is really important for students to know for a couple of reasons. One, as part of the CNA program, you are completing clinicals, which means that in addition to the coursework, you will actually be you'll be working part of your year in a healthcare facility. Oftentimes we've got great partnerships with like rehab centers and some nursing homes and things like that. You will be supervised and you'll be working with patients. And this is not necessarily, again, I want to say patient forward, because as a CNA, you are helping them with personal cares. And that's something that we want our students to know about going into this, that part is an important piece of this. Now, we have sometimes some students will say, well, I want to be a neurosurgeon, and so I don't want to be a CNA. In order to do anything in healthcare that's patient forward, you need to have an incredible number of hours that you need to accrue working in patient forward types of environments. So even if you want to go on to become a neurosurgeon down the road, you will need to accrue hours. And if you become a CNA and you start working, you are accruing those hours. Okay. So this is a way to kind of get a little bit of a leg up on building and doing what you need to do in the background to be able to really move forward in that type of a career. So let's see here, what else do we do? Okay. This course is open to students in grades 11 and 12. Okay, so this one's not open to sophomores. This class is held at both PHS and, like I said, WCTC. Professional dress is worn. So when you're working with a mentor, you might be wearing something business casual, but to be honest with you, oftentimes you're in scrubs because that is what the business professional apparel looks like for many people in this particular role. The CNA experience, one of the things that I like to highlight with this is that their grading is completely separate from ours. So as part of this course, you are getting a half credit at WCTC, but we do not have access to knowing what a student's grade is in that class until we get the final grades submitted to us. They're completely separate systems, and so it's up to the student to really communicate at home with the adults at home and to stay on top of their grade there, because you do need to have a certain number of, you need to have a certain percentage on your summatives in order to pass that class, to be eligible to take the certification exam. The other piece is, it's really, really important, attendance is huge with this one, okay? This is one where students really need to be ready to be on time and show up when they need to be doing their clinicals, when they need to be at WCTC, all of those pieces. This class one is one that we do usually have a cap on, a maximum number of students that we can take. That is based on state law, with how many students can be in a CNA course with a certified instructor. So we work with WCTC on that. Usually the number is about 20. In this particular class, you earn 2.25 credits. So this is actually a reduction from this year. We got feedback that we had a lot of students that were applying for this class, but then weren't actually able to fit it into their schedule because it took up too many blocks of their schedule. So we've made some adjustments to try to make it more manageable for students to fit in all their different classes. So in this particular class, students get a quarter credit of advanced mathematics and analytics. This is a math experience that focuses on what math and healthcare looks like. This is analyzing trend data. This is really looking at the information that you get from diagnostics and applying this. It's learning about how cosine relates to hearing and hearing loss, and really taking some of those maybe kind of vague, nebulous kind of mathematical concepts and making them tangible and showing how it actually matters and how it connects with health. In addition, there is a full credit of medical interventions. That's a Project Lead the Way class. You have a half credit of health and medical clinicals. You'll complete a capstone project in an area of interest. So each student will work on second semester a capstone project where they'll really do a deep dive into an area of healthcare that they're interested in. So a couple of years ago, we had a golfer who wanted to be a physical therapist, and he worked with some physical therapists to create an exercise program that would specifically target common injuries that golfers have. We had another student that was an English language learner in our district, and he worked with his mentor and really developed a 3D model of what a one-room sustainable ER could look like in a third world country in order to access and improve and expand options for care. We had another student who really became fascinated with pulmonary embolisms and how significant and debilitating that can be. So she did a deep dive into that type of condition and what that treatment plan looks like. So students can really do a deep dive into an area of interest there. And then there's the half credit of the WCTC CNA program. The prerequisites for this class are Math 3. So students have to have completed Math 3 or they have to take it at the same time. They can take it concurrently. And then the other piece is there are requirements through the state. So there are certain requirements like vaccine requirements and things like that. Those aren't Pewaukee requirements. They are through the state as part of the CNA program. And if you're interested in that, we can share what those details are later. We haven't gotten, sometimes there's updates that we get in spring as to what those requirements will specifically be for fall. So we don't know what those are yet. Sometimes there's changes. But if you're interested in more information on that, let me know. The elements of health and medicine, because it's 2.25 credits, it's wonky in the schedule. It's really going to be wonky. So this is not exactly what it's set up to be. We're waiting to hear back from WCTC on when they're going to be offering their CNA class for next year. They don't have that finalized yet, but this is an example of how many spots it would take up in a student's schedule semester 1 and semester 2. So just as a note, semester 1, it's going to take up a slightly bigger spot with taking up a total of 3 kind of periods and then 2 periods on that second semester. This is down. We're specifically making changes. This year it was A block and B block, hours 1 and 2. So it would have been 8 of those squares this year. Now we've reduced it down to 5. Any questions on elements of health and medicine? Okay. Global business. This was our first course that we offered as part of the Insight program. This particular course is heavy in the fact that it is hours 1 and 2 every single day of the entire school year. So students earn 4 credits in this particular course. So this one has the largest credit load associated with it. We have just over 40 students in the program this year that were accepted into it, and it is team taught with 3 different teachers. This class is a combination of economics, ELA or English Language Arts, and business. Students that take global business have their 11th grade English Language Arts credit built into this. So they don't need to schedule a separate ELA class outside of that. This particular class really focuses on the global business world and a lot of the basics that students really need to have. So in this particular class, students are focusing on a lot of project management, leadership, working as teams, what economics looks like and how that applies to businesses. They work in groups to create their own business and identify, and they actually create their own product or service. They actually sell it, they earn money, and that part of that money then goes back to a nonprofit of their choice. Students work on ELA, it's the exact same standards that students work on here at the high school in your traditional English 11 class or English 12 class, but however, how they meet those standards and demonstrate proficiency in them looks a little bit different. So they might be completing a market analysis of a particular business. And then in addition, they work with local businesses. So we partner with businesses who come to us and have real problems that they want to solve, but they maybe don't have the time or the manpower to be able to tackle it. It's usually on their list of like 10 priorities, somewhere between like 5 and 10, right? Something that they maybe wanted to do for a long time and just didn't have a chance to. And our students, we group our students. There is each team of 4 to 5 students has a project manager. They have a communication specialist. They have content specialists. So everybody has a role on that team. And then they work with that business. They find out what the problem is, what they need to do. They present to that business, and then they actually provide the deliverables for that. So as examples of some of the things that we've done, we've had students create web pages for new organizations. We had a business come to us a couple of years ago that wanted to open up a second location, and they asked our students to do an analysis of competitors of local commercial buildings that were available within all of these different fence posts and provide a recommendation based on all the information as to where they should set up their second brick and mortar location. The Milwaukee Bucks, during downtime in those basketball games, they're throwing t-shirts and can koozies and all those wonderful things up into the crowd, right? So a couple of years ago, they did not have an inventory tracking program. So when they would do that after a game, they would literally send executives down to count boxes to figure out when stuff needed to be reordered. Not going to make or break the Bucks, this problem, but it was a waste of some people's time. So they asked our students to create it, like to research different inventory tracking systems. So they were given their fence posts, what budget they had, what they needed it to be able to do, and then it was up to our students to contact different teams to find out what different options were out there, and then ultimately they presented to the executives at the Bucks about what they recommended they use as an inventory tracking system and why, and now that's what Bucks use. So there's lots of really kind of cool programs and authentic immersion opportunities for students in this particular program. So again, it's 2 periods every day. Students are expected to dress business casual, particularly when they are in meeting and interacting with professionals. But to be honest with you, there is more of a business casual expectation on a daily basis. We have dress down Fridays, just like a lot of companies do, but we do expect students to dress the way that the career field reflects. And then again, there's 4 different credits in here. You have a credit, a business elective in business and project management. There's a second business elective in business and community connections. You have your Econ 202, 203. That is a college credit in high school course. So students that take that are have the opportunity to earn up to 6 credits at UW Green Bay by taking this course. And then the last one is our advanced comp and com, or that's the ELA credit. Any questions about global business? Okay, that one's a big one. So if you have questions, let me know. All right, Impact. Impact's a really cool class. Impact is our passion project class. This class takes less time in your schedule. I'll talk about that in a minute. But in this particular class, students pursue a passion project over the duration of an entire school year. And I'll be honest, this class is not for everybody because sticking with one project over the course of an entire school year is kind of a monster. That can be a real beast for a lot of our students. But here we have students that really want to pursue something that's a passion of theirs. They might not find another insight strand that really works for them. We had a student a couple years ago that was really, really passionate about writing her novel. So that was what she did. She started to write her first novel in this class. We had another student who really wanted to get involved in the performing arts and wanted to write a screenplay. So that's what she spent the year working on. We have another student who actually completed global business, and after learning all of the things in global business his junior year, came into Impact, and he wanted to launch his own company senior year through Impact. So that's what he did. He ended up making like thousands of dollars the first year out. It was kind of crazy. He rocked it. So students here are matched with a mentor who serves as like a consultant for them on their project. So we've had students that might be matched with someone if they want to do like a fundraiser or an awareness campaign on a particular issue. In winter, in our basketball season for the last couple of years, we've had a big Warriors Wear Red event that really supports the Special Olympics. It's a huge fundraiser. The whole district's involved in it. That came out of this particular course with a student who was really, really passionate about working with Special Olympics. So this is an opportunity for students if they can't find a home in another Insight course, but they really want an Insight experience, or sometimes some students use this as an Insight 2.0 experience. If they have already taken a class like global business or like aviation, and they want to have kind of another experience and take it deeper, this is a great opportunity for them to do that. So this class is open to grades 10 through 12. It is repeatable. So if you take it in 10th grade, you can take it again in 12th grade. The young lady who was writing her first novel, she took it 2 years in a row. The first year she focused on writing. The second year she focused on editing and learning how to publish. So you can kind of make it what you want to make it. The class is year-long on alternating days. It's only 1 credit, so it's like a typical class. So it's easier for students to fit in their schedule. Okay, I think I covered all of that. Any questions on impact? Okay. All right, journalism and media, we call it JAM. JAM is a course what really focuses on those individuals that want to be involved in journalism or broadcasting, podcasts, lots of different areas of journalism. And so students in this particular course kind of do a deep dive into that. They work on a lot of our internal types of publications that go out. And they have a lot of choice in terms of what that looks like. So last year we had a student that was doing a podcast that just like got an incredible number of views. And he was just interviewing people around the district or in the community to help kind of share stories about what was happening. And then would push out those podcasts. We have students that really work on some of our print publications here. They cover different events across the district and they report out on them. And then we also have what's called Hook Junior at Horizon. So some of you might be familiar with that. And this particular group of students mentors our Horizon Hook Junior students. So they work together in collaboration on things and they have an opportunity to serve as mentors and leaders themselves for some of our younger learners in other areas of our district. So this class is open to students in grades 10 through 12. This one is also repeatable because students work on different things all the time. Again, professional dress is required if you're interacting with professionals. This class does have a prerequisite. You need to have taken writing for the media or your book. So either one of those fulfills that prerequisite requirement. And the other piece with this one, this course has industry certifications involved in students will choose either Adobe Photoshop or Adobe InDesign. They can choose between the two based on what area they're interested in or what their career path might be. So the Photoshop is more for photojournalism. That's an area of interest. The InDesign is more on the writing piece. And Adobe is a really, really important platform to be well versed in if you are going into this career field. So students will work on that throughout the duration of the year as well. Serving others. Okay, serving others is our strand that really focuses on the human services. Students who are really interested in this strand usually are looking at careers in education, in mental health, in nonprofit work, in public relations. Those are kind of like, that's the big net that we often see. This class is out and about in the community all the time. They do a ton of different projects and they work very closely with our community, but then also with students at different levels across the district. And that's where the beauty of the campus setting really comes in. So they will partner and they will plan projects with our littlest learners over at PLE to get experience working with young children. If you walked into the high school tonight, you might have seen there are a couple of gnomes. They're like tree gnomes about this high or so standing out front. That was a collaboration with our Serving Others students. They worked with some of our students in our 18 to 21 program. So adults that we have that are adults with developmental disabilities. So they partnered to get experience working with adults with developmental disabilities and then also with one of our local merchants and one of our local community partners to build these gnomes. They've now been placed at various businesses around Pewaukee, and the money from selling the gnomes for the decorations that the merchants have paid is going to a nonprofit. So it kind of talks about like it's a great experience for how you can get a ton of different opportunities built into one class activity with working with a variety of different types of individuals. This class is open to students in grades 10 through 12. This one is not repeatable. It is held, again, at PHS, but also throughout the district. They're over at different buildings a fair amount. You get 2 different PHS credits. So it's 1 period every day of the entire school year. Through this class, students get take Psychology 102. That is a college credit in high school class. So students have the opportunity to earn 3 college credits at UW Green Bay by taking this course. And then really that second class, which is a methods class, is the application of what they're learning in that psychology class. And that's a PHS credit. That's also a transcripted credit, which is new for WCTC. So they get the Green Bay credits, and then they also get the WCTC credits for the Introduction to Human Services. So lots of different post-secondary opportunities with this class. Now, starting like new last year, we have now a Serving Others internship. Like I said, our Serving Others class isn't repeatable because you'd be taking the same classes again. There isn't a lot of variety in that. But we have students that are interested in continuing to take their Serving Others experience to the next level. So for this, we've created, to meet this need, we've created this internship opportunity for students. So if they take Serving Others 1.0, first Serving Others in either 10th or 11th grade, they would be eligible to take the Serving Others internship. This is repeatable. And this class, within this experience, students will do a couple of things. One, they'll be working as a leader within that Serving Others class. And so they'll have the opportunity to work behind the scenes with the teachers of the Serving Others class to kind of take on a little bit of a leadership role and help kind of develop some things. And then they'll also really get a more focused clinical or internship in the area that they're interested in. So for example, if we have a student who's interested in becoming an elementary school teacher, and they're in the Serving Others internship, they would probably be matched with a 4th grade teacher or 3rd grade teacher or something like that here in the district. And during that particular course, for maybe a 6-week period, they would go and they would spend that time with a teacher to learn in depth what does pre-assessment look like? What does it look like to build a lesson? What does it look like to deliver a lesson? How do you manage a classroom? And so this is really helpful for a lot of our students who are really interested in education and think they might want to do education. In college, you don't get in front of students in an actual classroom until your 3rd or 4th year, which quite frankly is really late to decide if education is right for you or not. So we're trying to kind of turn that on its head a little bit and get students involved in classrooms to really learn what it's like to be an educator before they do that. Because quite frankly, you do not want to spend the money to go to college to suddenly go, this isn't for me. And we do have students that take the Serving Others classes and they go, whoops, that's not what I want. But that's okay. We would much rather have you figure that out now in high school before you go spend time and money on something. So this is a great opportunity for you to do this. The other thing is this is really flexible. You can take this for a semester or you can take it for a year. So you have a lot of flexibility in how it works in your schedule. Oh, here we go, the logistics. Okay, so this one is only open to 11th and 12th grade because you need to have taken Serving Others 1 first, okay? And so that is the prerequisite for that. I think I kind of covered everything else here already. Okay. Technology support internship. We only have 2 more courses to go, guys. Okay, so thanks for hanging in there with me. The technology support internship is for individuals that are considering careers in the IT sector. This is a great opportunity for students who might want to be software or hardware engineers or developers. We have individuals who want to go into video game design. We have students who want to go into cybersecurity that find a home here. So there's a lot of different types of careers that really find a great place here. We also have students who have taken this course that will say things like, you know, I want to go into healthcare, but I really know that using technology is a critical part of healthcare, so I'm going to take this as a supplementary in-state course so I can get experience behind the scenes there. This particular class our students do 2 main things. One is they run our help desk. So when we've got devices all over the place in this district, and so when we have devices where there's a problem, they go to our help desk for repair. So our students get a training from our IT department on how to fix a lot of the common pieces, problems that might come to us. Okay, so they will learn, you know, what happens if the camera stops working, or what happens if the screen cracks, or suddenly my device isn't charging up. So they get training on a lot of this. They learn how to enter tickets, they learn how to assess, and then they learn how to repair. And then they return those devices. So they actually work with us to help us really stay on top of the break fixes that we have across the district. Now, anybody who's worked at help desk knows that there's ebb and flow with that. Sometimes there's a lot of devices that suddenly need to be fixed, and sometimes there aren't any. So in the downtime, our students are working towards industry certifications that are really valuable for the IT world. So students have kind of a menu of choices in terms of kind of approved certifications that we've vetted. We know that they're good certifications for this, this particular career field. It's not just something free that they found online, for example. And they will work towards those certifications. And we help guide them as to which certification based on how long they're going to be in the class and kind of what their career goals are. So some of those might be like IT fundamentals, which just changed. Now it's Tech Plus. We have Security Plus. We have Microsoft Office. We have Adobe. So there's a variety of different certifications, and we work with the students to help them figure out what the best match is going to be. So this class is available for students in grades 10 through 12. It is repeatable because you're constantly just learning how to fix and repair new types of problems, and we have different types of devices all over the district, so there's lots of opportunities to learn there, and we have lots of industry certifications to choose from. So students can take this course also for a semester or for a year, and the other cool thing about this is not a teacher-led course. We need people at that help desk all day, every day. So we have a cap. We can only have about 3 people comfortably at the help desk, but if it fits into your schedule, A4, great. If it fits into your schedule, B block, second hour for second semester, we can fit it in. We need people all of those different times. So students will find that there's a ton of flexibility in making this fit into their schedule. We do have a cap on this class, and that's usually based on, we can only, again, have so many bodies in that help desk. The prerequisites for this. Students in this course have the opportunity to kind of get behind the scenes access to devices, okay? As a result of that, we look at their disciplinary history to see if they have a pattern of making good choices or not great choices regarding their technology. So now I will say to students, because then I suddenly get some panicky questions like, oh, I had my cell phone taken away once this year. That's not going to, we know that there were some changes this year. That is not going to eliminate you from contention for this class. But I will say, if you have some majors for patterns of violation or some other more egregious things, you will not be eligible to be in this particular class until you have at least a year of 0 technology violations. You need to really show us. And we have had a student that we turned down, and then after a period of time really demonstrated things, and that student's doing great. So we want to work with students and use this as a learning opportunity, but at the same time, we need to be responsible about what we give students access to. The other piece is that we do have a half-day kind of boot camp, we call it. It's the week before school starts typically. If a family can't make it, it's not the end of the world. We get that there's vacations and things like that. But that is a really important opportunity for students to that have been accepted into this TSI program to come and they get that early hands-on experience with some of our common quick fixes so they can really hit the ground running on day 1 at the help desk. All right, the last one, world translations. World translations in this particular class, and I will be honest with you, we do not run this class every year, because the amount of students that are really eligible to take this class are pretty small usually. So we don't always have enough students to be able to run this. But the students in this particular class really take their world language knowledge to the next level. If anybody speaks more than one language here, you'll know that translating is very different than speaking a second language. So the students in this class get a deep dive into what it means to be a translator. And so the students in this class are ones that, are really interested and passionate about a second or sometimes a third language. And they might want to be a translator, or they might just really view this as being something that would be incredibly beneficial for them in their chosen career field. So they will work on, they learn a lot at the front end about what it means to translate and how to translate, and then they start to work on real documents for real companies. And so the translation is from either English to Spanish, French, or Mandarin, depending on the language they're in, or back from Spanish, French, or Mandarin into English. So it can go both ways. A student does not need to speak all 3 of those languages in order to be in this class. You can just be English and Spanish or whatever, but that's kind of how that works. So this class is only open to grade 12. And the reason for that is because of the prerequisite. You need to have taken the first 4 levels of a world language and be proficient enough in that language to be able to successfully translate. And our instructors, because these are real projects for real companies, they do double check. One of our instructors is a certified translator herself, so she does all of the checking and making sure that those translations are done well and appropriately, but that is a really critical piece. This class is only 1 semester held here at the high school, so it's a half credit. Okay, those were the courses. I promise that was the big part of tonight. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what the benefits are, and I'm talking a little bit more about that mentorship piece too that I spoke about earlier. So our students have a lot of different opportunities that are advantages to being in the Insight program. In addition to the mentorship, again, lots of those classes have college credits and industry certifications along with them. So that's a really critical piece and really beneficial for those students in planning their post-secondary journey. Another piece is you learn incredible employability skills in terms of interacting with professionals, what it means to network. We have a lot of students that start to really build professional networks while they are in high school, which is incredibly powerful. And we have a lot of authentic experiences where students will take what they're learning in classrooms, not just in the Insight program, but other classes as well, and really start to make connections between what that looks like in the career field. You know, why do I need to know this in math? Well, here's why. You're using math and you're using it in market analysis, or you're using it to help develop a plan for somebody with hearing loss. These are the different types of applications, and they can really see how their learning is connecting to what the future might hold for them. So that's a really powerful piece that we're always really excited about with this program. This is also a great opportunity to have a unique topic or lots of different unique topics to use in scholarship or college applications, to use in interviews, because students in this program have those types of experiences and have some unique projects that they've participated in, unique experiences interacting with professionals and building networks. It'll give you a pretty robust resume. And then we have had students that have come out of this with different job opportunities or internships. The other thing that's really nice is students are not, this is not a charter school program where you're committing to it and then you don't get to participate in any other classes. None of our students have only Insight in their schedule. They're also taking other classes. So you have the opportunity to take all of the different types of elective classes that you want to take without really committing yourself fully to everything within one particular program. So the mentorship piece is one that I want to spend a little bit of time on because this is unique. There are a total of 3 schools in the United States that have a program that I'm aware of like ours. We're one, and one of the other ones is actually one that we helped them set up their program. So this is really, really unique to not only Wisconsin, but to the US and any types of high schools. So in this particular course, when students are accepted into the Insight program, I survey them in spring and I ask them what career they are considering for their future, or if they're undecided, because many of them are, and that's okay. What is one that they'd really like to do a deep dive into? And my summer is all mentor matching. It's my goal, or one of my goals, to find a professional in that career field somewhere who would be willing to be matched with that student and be their mentor for the duration of the time that they're in that Insight program. So it's, for most of our Insight programs, it's for a year. These mentors are all over the US at this point. This year we had our very first international mentor. So these professionals go through 2 different levels of background checks, and they get training materials from me. And then over the course of the school year, they meet monthly, either in person or virtually, with their student. Now, our Insight students are expected to run these meetings. They set the agenda, they send out links for their meetings, or they schedule when those meetings are going to happen with their mentor. Might be during class, might be 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night if that's when the mentor can meet. But it's their opportunity to develop a relationship with a professional in the field and really start to ask candid questions and get candid, real answers from someone who's not an adult at home, because they won't listen to us anymore, or any of the teachers. Okay, so, sorry guys, I mean, for those students here, but I think we all can agree that you're gonna listen to a professional more than you're gonna listen to us, about what that looks like. And they ask questions about, what do you like? What does a typical day look like? What do you love about your job? What do you hate about your job? But it's still part of your job. They can ask about, job trends, trajectories. What type of an impact might AI have on this career field? And we've had students have really incredible experiences come out of this. A couple times a year, I hear from a former Pewaukee Pirate who will reach out and say, I just got in touch with my mentor, or I'm still in touch with my mentor, or I got an email last spring from one of our students who he's an alumni several years out, so he has now graduated college that far out, right? So he had reached out and wanted to share that he had stayed in contact with his mentor for the entire duration of his college career. His mentor knew the dream company back home here that he wanted to work for in the Milwaukee area. Turned out the mentor ended up switching jobs and got a job at that dream company. And he knew his student. He knew this student, and he followed him and stayed in contact for years. So when he had a job opening, guess who he sent the application link to? And guess who our student ended up interviewing with? And guess who ended up getting hired? So there's really cool experiences. We've had mentors offer scholarships to students or internships, or we had one student really realize that, this isn't exactly what I want, but the mentor listened really carefully and said, you know what, I'm hearing that this isn't exactly what you want, but I think what my colleague does is what you're interested in. And they were able to get connected with the colleague, and that ended up being the dream job for this student. So it's a really good opportunity for students to do a deep dive again and either validate that this career is something that they're interested in or hit the brakes. And we have lots of students that hit the brakes, and that's okay. And then if that happens, they spend the duration of their time really learning and focusing with their mentor on other things, because maybe that mentor knows about a different job that's related that might be a better fit. Or maybe that mentor can share experiences about how they navigated different challenges in their life and help with some of those skills that are transferable no matter what type of career you're in. And so this has been an incredibly powerful experience for a lot of our students. And I will always tell students that this is what you make it. You will have a good experience if you do what we tell you to do as part of this mentorship program. You will, but you can have a truly life-changing and outstanding experience if you put effort and energy into learning as much as you can from this individual. So as of right now, we have about 140 individual mentors matched with students this year. I have another couple that I'm going to be finding for second semester, so that will go up by a bit. But we have mentors all over the place. And I've had requests for, one of my favorite days of the school year is when the requests start coming in, because I never know what I'm going to get. And there's ebbs and flows. One year I needed 7 different physical therapists. The next year I only needed 1 physical therapist, but I needed 8 aerospace engineers. And when I started this program, I would get really kind of like, I would like a doctor, or I think I would like a nurse. And now I get requests from students. You can tell that all the other things that were happening in the years prior at lower levels in terms of career exploration are making a difference, because the students are coming with much, much more specific ideas now. I want a cardiothoracic surgeon as a mentor, or I want a CRNA, or I think the most specific request that I've had to date was I would really like a mechanical engineer who specializes in life support systems used extraterrestrial. They get really specific. So it doesn't matter what career it is. We can work on finding mentors. It's a joy. It keeps me up at night sometimes because I'm not always sure how I'm going to find these. And sometimes I have to Google. Like somebody wanted someone on a red team, and I didn't know what a red team was until a couple years ago. So I had to Google what is a red team member? What is that career? And if you don't know, it's like a good hacker. It's someone who is hired by a company to try to hack their own systems to figure out where the weaknesses are before somebody else does. I didn't know that existed as a career, but apparently it does. So now we have a mentor who's on a red team. But anyhow, if you've got questions about this, this is a really cool experience for our kids and one that I'm really, really passionate about. What we expect from our students. Okay, like I said, I don't care what a student's GPA is. And the students that are in this program are at all different levels of career exploration. They are at all different levels of strengths and areas where they need more support. And all of that is just fine. The piece that I want is intrinsic motivation. That is the part that is really, really critical with this. So what we want to see for students that is really going to be things like you adhere to deadlines. You are professional and respectful with adults. We want strong future-ready skills. Sometimes our students, I don't think, take our future-ready skills super seriously. On those report cards, they kind of like brush them off a little bit. This is what I look at. I don't look at the grades. I look at the future-ready skills when I'm looking at applications coming in. So really, these are some of the things that we expect from our students. All right, next steps. We're in the home stretch, guys. Application deadline is midnight on Thursday, January 8th. Okay. Every year I have students that I get the emails starting at about like 8 or 9 a.m. on, the 9th saying, hey, I think I forgot to turn mine in. That's one of the pieces that tells me, are you adhering to deadlines? If you submit your application late, that's maybe a bit of a red flag for me, okay? So that application, I'll talk about where to find that in a second. The insight interviews, there's a really fast turnaround on this. So the application deadline is midnight on the 8th, which is a Thursday. On Friday, the 9th, we have Sign Up Genius going out for signing up for the interviews, which start that Monday, okay? And the reason this is so tight is A, students want to know at this point, and B, they're gonna be picking classes soon, and we wanna make sure our students know if they're in the program in time to schedule classes. So we will have insight interviews that were happening. Insight interviews happen after school. They might happen during resource. This is also exam week, which isn't ideal, but we're gonna make it work. And so we've got lots of different options for insight interviews. These are not anywhere near as scary as they sound. Students will come in, they sign up in groups of 4. It's about a 15-minute interview with some of the insight teachers. What we do is we go down the line, we ask a question, and then all of the students answer it, and then we have another question, and we start with another person in the group. And that 15 minutes flies. It goes really, really fast, but it's a great opportunity for us to get a take on whether or not students have really thought this through, whether or not they have thought carefully and really can speak to why this is important for them and how this is going to help them out in their future. We want to know that this is something that they're really interested in committing to. The acceptance notices will go out on January 22nd, and that is just in time for the window to open up, I think on the 23rd actually, for classes to be signing up for next year and to start looking at submitting those requests. So where do you get the application? First of all students have already received the application because it is now open. So have them check their email. If they're saying that they can't find it, it would be an email from me. They have that link. However, you can also find it at PewaukeeInsight.com. Right in that left corner, there's a button that says Students Apply Here, and you can click on that and it will take you directly to the Google form. That is how students will apply. I would say the application probably takes about 20 to 30 minutes. It's not super hard, to be honest with you. It's pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, because it is a Google form, it's not something that you can pause and then necessarily come back to. You can't save your progress. You could just leave the tab open if that makes sense. So that is one thing to just kind of carve out, give yourself a little bit of time to do it kind of in one piece. Or write your answers on another piece first and then transfer it. So that wraps up tonight. I promised I would be done by 7, and I think I'm like 3 minutes early. I'm gonna stick around in case anybody has specific questions, but I appreciate all of you coming out tonight. I know the weather's not awesome, it's cold and kind of gross out there, so I appreciate you being here. If you have questions, please let me know. I'm actually ironically gonna be out of town the next couple of days, But I promise you, I will be responding to emails as I can if there's questions or concerns. So you've got, several weeks yet. The window just opened up last week to apply, so we do have multiple applications in already, but I know that we're going to be having a lot more coming in the next couple of weeks, but I'm happy to answer those. There's no advantage to getting your application turned in, first or anything like that, outside of the fact that you could go into the holiday break not worrying about it. So that would be the only advantage to trying to crank it out early, but I would also recommend that you not wait till the last minute. All right, well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. And again, let me know if you've got any questions.